What's good with y'all? What's good with y'all? What's good with y'all? I only can see my Twitch side for some reason. I don't know why I can't see my YouTube side. But let's get it in, y'all. The Fugees and Mob D wanted this too. This is what it sound like. We ride on our enemy. Okay, there we go. I see it. I see it. YouTube is cracking. What's going on with y'all, man? So, man, let's get how y'all feeling today, man. We back again. Back again. We back again and we hold up. Back again, man. Back again. How y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? Let me go ahead and send a bat signal out to everybody that watches the live show. This right here is gonna be about the Fugees and Mob. Not Mob D. I keep saying Fugees and Mob D wanted this too. I keep thinking about that same part. Think about Tupac. The Fugees. You know what I'm saying? Send a bat signal out one time. Send a bat signal out there. Everybody know. Hey, we here, y'all. Let them come on. Let everybody come in here, man. Go ahead and give it a little time. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it some time. But yeah, man. The Fugees, man. The Fugees, man. They been getting back together, breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, and all the things, right? Well, we're going to get into all what's going on with the Fugees. We're going to go. Let me see. Okay. Let's get it, man. Fugees. Fugees and Mob. Y'all ready to start? Let me know when y'all ready to start, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my people from Twitch. Y'all badges should be approved in a couple days. You know what I'm saying? The badges should be approved in a couple of days on both sides. Y'all ready? Y'all ready to get this party started? Go get the mics up right now. Get this party started. You know what I'm saying? Let's get this party started, man. Fugees and Mob D. The Fugees and the beef and all that stuff going on with the Fugees. Let's go ahead and get it cracking. Let's get it jerky, man.
Pras, what's good?
Chilling, man. What's going on?
Everything, man. Huge fan. An honor to finally get a chance to speak to you.
Oh, thanks.
All right, so let's start in the very beginning. How did the Fugees really form? Because Wyclef is your cousin, and you guys went to high school together, right?
No, not actually. Wyclef, we called each other cousins, but we grew up together back in the church days. And I started this group with me and this other girl, and she introduced me to Lauryn Hill. And Lauryn was in the 8th grade. So the group was myself, the girl, and Lauryn. And then Wyclef came and joined a group about a year and a half later because he graduated from high school before me.
Okay, what was the original name of the group?
Something stupid, man. I don't know, something like Time or something crazy.
Okay, so you, Lauryn Hill, and this other girl have a group, and then Wyclef joins, and then what happens?
So then we started to record, and then the girl gave me an ultimatum. If we don't get a record deal by the time we graduate, she's going to have to leave because she was going to a school. She was going to college. I mean, I was going to college too, but she just felt like she couldn't do the both. So it's either we get a deal before we graduate, or she's going to leave the group and go to college.
Okay, and you guys ended up not getting a deal at that point?
At that point, no.
Okay, so she left the group, so it was just the three of y'all left.
Right.
Okay, so what happens next?
So we just started recording, and we hooked up with this production company, and we started to use their facility out of Jersey called House of Music. And then they helped us to land our management, who was this guy named David Sonnenberg, who managed a lot of acts at that time. He used to manage like Meatloaf and all these different acts. And so he helped us get a deal.
Okay, now were you guys called the Fugees at this point or no?
It was Translated Crew.
Okay, yeah, I remember that. I mean, you guys actually used that name from time to time also.
We did, because the reason we didn't keep that name, you see, life is funny. Everything happens for a reason. That name wouldn't have worked. So coincidentally, when we signed with Sony, actually, there was a rock band named Translated Crew. They never put out an album, but they were like, we can't use the name. So we had to come up with another name. And so we were like, well, what do we represent? And we were like, well, we Haitian. We represent, Clef and I were Haitian, are Haitians. And we were like, well, we refugees. So everybody put a name in the hat. I put refugees. And then I was like, refugees is dope, but maybe we should take out the R-E and just call ourselves Fugees, meaning refugees. And everybody was like, oh, that sounds kind of hot. That's why in the first album, you'll see Fugees, and underneath of it, you'll see Translated Crew.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Okay, so now you have the name, the Fugees. It's you, Wyclef, and Lauryn Hill. You guys get this big-time rock manager, essentially, right?
Right.
And you guys get your first record deal with Rough House?
Rough House Columbia, yeah.
Okay, division of Sony. So was it like a big deal? Was it just like a small little deal in the beginning? How did it work?
It was an iota of a deal compared to what everyone else was getting. But the thing is, what happened is, to be fair to Sony, we had 3 other deals on the table. We had Jimmy Iovine at that point, because my manager at that time used to manage Jimmy Iovine, and he had just went and started Interscope. So Jimmy gave us an offer. Jive gave us an offer, and everyone else's offer was really high, and Columbia was the lowest one. I'm talking about extremely low. But I spoke with my crew at that time, and I just kind of liked the direction they were going, and I felt like for the kind of artists that we were, that they were better suited for us.
Okay, so you actually took less money for more creative control in a way?
It's not even about creative control. It's more about, it's about when you go on a journey, everyone that's going with you on that journey have to be on the same page, right? So if people have different agenda and then you get struck by something, a wild animal or something, you're not going to make it through that journey. So I wanted to make sure that the label we were going with understood what we were representing and was willing to invest in that culture, not if they have a hit record. It was about what we represented.
Okay. Now, were you going to college at the time?
I haven't entered college. I'm graduating at this time.
You're graduating high school.
Yeah.
Okay. You end up going to Rutgers and then Yale?
Yeah.
Okay. But that was after the first album comes out.
No. This is while we're trying to get a deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you the only one in the group in college?
No.
Yeah, I think I see the 14 years. I think you see the 14 years of the group.
No. Lauryn went to Columbia for a year. And Clef went to some music school, you know. But obviously we all dropped out, right?
2/3 of the group went to Ivy League schools. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Impressive. So Lauryn Hill goes to Columbia, which is a top school. She goes there for 1 year. Why did she drop out?
We all dropped out because we wanted to pursue our career.
Okay.
You know, look, if this Fugees thing didn't happen, obviously we probably would have just all went to college and go live, you know, the regular average life, right? But you know, at that point, you know, they say, you know, right when you're about to reach success, your comfort zone has to be disrupted. And so it was when we were tested, you know, because a lot of people want their cake and eat it too, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, in life, you gotta make a decision. If you really want something and you believe in yourself, you're gonna have to make some hard decisions, especially when we're talking about the entertainment. I mean, I see a lot of people today, their whole thing is, oh, you know, I got a job here, but I wanna act, I wanna record. And I'm like, you're gonna have to make a decision, one or the other. You can't have it both. Life doesn't work like that.
What was it like explaining to your parents that you're dropping out of Yale?
First of all, my parents were Haitian, number one. And they were super religious, number two. And I'm first generation American, number three. And so their whole thing is, it's not even that you're dropping out. Their whole thing is you're doing circular music to begin with, right? And you gotta remember, this is the 90s. So it's not like today. Today, you say, yo, I'm putting out a record. It's like saying I'm about to go take a piss. Everyone is doing it. But back in my day, if you say you have a record deal, that meant something because not everyone could get a record deal. So it was like, it's equivalent if I said to you, hey, listen, man, Vlad, listen, 6 months from now, I'm about to go up to Mars. They got this program, and I'm going to Mars. You're gonna be like, what the fuck?
Not for sure.
What, right? 30 years from now, if you say I'm going to Mars, people are like, yeah, all right, cool. Right? So that's what it was like. So my parents, on top of that, were like, yo, you doing devil music, you know? But, you know, at that point, I wasn't a grown, I was like, what, 18, 17, whatever that age was. And so, you know, I had to make a decision that I felt like was for my future. Go to college, get married, have children, you know, live a good, decent life. Go to church every Sunday. That was how they perceived my life to be.
So you guys come out with Blended on Reality.
Right.
And I remember the Nappy Heads remix was kind of in rotation. Like there was a video on MTV. I thought it was a dope song. And like the hip hop heads were fucking with it, but it didn't really get like large scale commercial success.
Right.
So, I mean, when you guys finished that album, you know, the first album, how did you guys feel about the project?
I mean, we were proud of it, but at the same time, you know, we also realized that we had just missed the boat. You know, because that style of hip hop was phasing out. So we came in the middle. You know, I don't know, people, real hip hop heads would know this. So back when we first came out, you had like leaders of the new school, Busta Rhymes, the Fushnikins, the Slam by Onyx. So it was that aggressive, like, So by the time we did our album, we did it in the middle of that whole aggression. But by the time the first single came out, it phased out. That's when Buckshot came out with How Many MCs. And Nas dropped Illmatic. And so everything slowed down. That's why that remix is on that zone, because it was like, yo, this is where it's going. So then we realized also, if you jump on a bandwagon, you're gonna get caught out there. So you better go set a trend. That's why the score was basically us saying, we're coming back now under our own terms.
Okay, so you guys dropped your first album, Blood on Reality. Like, do you remember how much it sold? Was it like 100,000, something like that? A couple hundred thousand?
It eventually went gold, but if you're talking about when it first came out, we sold about 12.
12,000.
No, 12.
No. I'm not talking about the score. I'm talking about Blood on Reality.
Yeah, we sold about, at that time, around 12 copies.
12 copies?
Yeah.
Nobody bought the album?
We sold, 12 people did.
Wow. So a major label
dismal, man.
Put out an album that sold 12 copies.
Yeah.
How was the overall morale in the group seeing those types of numbers?
Damn, 12 copies is crazy.
We were like the Cavs, man. We're gonna get through this. Period. Because, you know, we felt like we had the talent. The thing that saved us also, we were on the road. And our shows was one of the best hip hop shows on the road. So we were like, listen, man, we're gonna get through this. It's like, can't count refugees out. We Haitian. You know, fuck that.
How did the label take it? Because obviously the label lost money at this point.
Label was like, yo, drop these motherfuckers. Straight up. But we had about 2 people at the label. One of them was my product manager, this guy named Jeff Burrows. It was actually this other woman named Angela Thomas, and there was actually this other publicist. We had about 4 people. Angela, Jeff, Miguel, and Yvette Scholes. And they were the only one that were like, give these kids a chance. Give them a chance. And so the label was like, all right, let's see what you guys come back with. Those were the good old days. That shit don't happen like that anymore, obviously.
From what I read, the label gave you $135,000 to
Who
do
told
the
you
second
that?
album.
Who told you that?
It was in Wikipedia.
Oh, okay. Damn. It's crazy. Yeah, we got $135,000.
Okay. And then you guys built your own studio.
Yeah, because we didn't have money, so we didn't have money to go and get producers at that time. We only got 2 producers, outside producers, that could fit within our budget cap. Obviously, we went and got Salam, because Salam was the one who did the remix for Nappy Head's Mona Lisa record. So we wanted to still capture that, to be consistent and still get some of that magic, which he ended up giving us a fucking incredible record, Fugees. And then Diamond D, he was a hot producer at that time, but more like some hip hop type of vibe, like a Premier type of producer. He gave us a record, but we had to build a studio and make our own album, because $135,000 even back then wasn't a lot of money, you know? And we just built the studio and basically produced our whole album, except for 2 songs.
Right, that was the Booger Basement.
Booger Basement, yeah.
Okay. So you guys put together the score.
Right.
When the album was finished, how did you feel about it?
That was the first time I had a euphoric moment. I went and listened to the album. It was completed right before we mastered it. I sat in the studio and I listened it 3 times by myself all the way through. And I cried because I was like, God is so good, because I knew this album was going to make a mark. Just felt it. I felt it. I felt it in my bones. I had to cry because we put so much work, you know. And by the way, and a lot of people don't know, but in the first album, you know, the hip hop community, the critics. What was interesting, it was somewhat critically acclaimed, but at the same time, you know, we were getting killed. You know, they were like, yo, send them 2 Haitians back to Haiti. You know, they need to go back on their boat, you know. For us to finish the album, you know, it was that relief. Like, man, we just won the championship. You know, it was, because, you know, your whole thing, man, you put your whole heart and soul into something. You know, you sacrifice a lot. I gave up going to school. I ran away from home. My parents had moved to Florida 2 years before that, before I graduated from high school. And, you know, I went out on a limb, man, to do the first album. I was basically homeless. I was just living in a booger basement, crashing over here. And my whole life wasn't that. I grew up in a world where my parents were not rich, but I was comfortable. I got everything I wanted as long as I brought it in a certain GPA, all the fly shit at the time, you know, whether it be the first, you know, whatever, that everybody, like today, if it's like the first iPad, you know, whatever, my mom was like, whatever you want, I'm gonna get to you as long as you bring in the grades. And then I go sacrifice that first album. We sell like, by that time, we had sold maybe like 200 copies at that time, you know, by the time the score's about to come out. And then to hear what we did, you know, it just felt like, I can't explain that feeling, man. It was the beginning of a lot of great feelings from that point on.
That's just so crazy to think that your second album is coming out and you've only sold 200 copies of your first album.
At that time, Cypress Hill is selling 40,000 a week. See what I'm saying? Like, we sold nothing.
They're on the same label as you. They're on Rough House.
Yeah, Rough House, yeah.
Okay, so, like, the second album, what is really, like, the chemistry between the three of you in terms of who does what? I mean, you know, is Wyclef doing most of the production now? And, you know, Lauryn is doing most of the singing, you're doing the rapping? Like, how does it fit together? Everybody
plays a role, you know, but we will, to put it best to you, you know how like in a basketball team, you got that one guy, his whole thing is 3-pointers, right? Then you got the one guy, he gets inside the paint. He just goes straight to the paint, right? And you got that one guy who just rebound. But every once in a while, we'll interchange. But everybody had their specialties. Like the Avengers. Like, you know, Iron Man does his thing, but Captain America might come in and help him out. Yeah, you know, and vice versa. So everyone had their roles. And the chemistry was great at that time.
Well, I remember when that album dropped, and like every house party you would go to, how many mics would be playing? That was like the way that album, you know, I mean, you had the intro, but then that was like the first song, right?
Right.
And I remember like how many mics came out, and it was like, this sounds like the next shit right here. Like just sonically, you know, lyrically, the whole thing, it just sounded like the next shit, you know, and, you know, in Fugees, that was the first single, right?
Right.
Once again, it sounded like the next shit. It sounded different. Like just the way the music was layered and the way it came together was like, okay, this sounds like nothing that's out in music right now. And the album dropped, and did it start to sell like crazy?
Interesting. So Record company come to us and say, listen, you guys gonna have a nice week, but you're gonna get that hip hop drop, that famous hip hop drop. Come out strong, then you dip. So I remember saying to, I don't know who it was at the label, I said to them, I don't know, man, I don't think we're gonna do the hip hop drop. They're like, Pras, been doing this for eons, I promise you. But it's fine, because you guys definitely probably gonna have a gold album. Because the single was already gold, Fugees. And it could have went platinum, but they capped it because they wanted people to go buy the album. Right, so they didn't prevent it from going platinum. So I said, I don't know, man. This, you know how this, and anyone who's a hip hop head, you know, like I'm hip hop from when it first started to now, and I know when there's moments, when you hear something, you feel like, man, this going to be like. I remember when I first heard Biggie. Right. So when I first heard Biggie, we were in transition between the first and the second album, right? Because I used to do shows with Biggie and Puff and all that. So, and I remember when I first heard, who the fuck is this? So I remember hearing that, and I'm like, whoa! Like you just felt like this is going to be something. You know, you get those moments. So, and I can go back. I remember when Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh dropped Lottie Dottie. It was like, whoa, this is going to be, you know. So I know what those feelings are. So when that moment was coming, you could feel it, man. It's like anything, man. Even today, man, there's certain things that in the last 3-4 years that.
What's up, my guys? How y'all doing today, man? You already know, man. My boy Free Will, my boy Camley, Tiny Loke, what's happening? Made from scratch, what's going on, man? You already know, man. What's happening with my peoples, bro? You know what I'm saying? Mr. 1986, what's happening? You know what I'm saying? Salute to all the peoples in the room, man. Black Bone, I see you, brother. Do y'all thing, 7:30, JB in the building. Shout out to all my people. Zero, I see you, man. Stay cool, brother. On game. Stand on that. Shout out to my Twitch side. Shout out to all my sides. Keep pushing. Keep pushing.
Came up in our radar, that's like, man, this feels, wow, you felt like this going to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, remember when 50 dropped, when he first dropped his first album in the club, you knew it was going to be like, whoa, this is going to be special. You know, it's just moments in certain records and culturally. So that's how I feel things, you know. The second week, it goes from 70,000 to 90. Record company's like, whoa, okay. Third week, it goes from 90 to 98. It just kept climbing and climbing and climbing. And at that time, Alanis Morissette had that record, isn't it ironic? It's called Little Jagged Pill, whatever the album's called. A huge, massive album. She was selling 300,000 records a week for like 30 weeks. And that's the record that's the album we had to go beat to get #1 on Billboard. We eventually did, especially when Killing Me Softly got leaked. Some radio station started playing it. It was done. It was a wrap. We didn't even want to release that record. It just came out. It was like, okay, it's a gift from heaven.
So the album goes 6 times platinum?
It goes, at that, you mean worldwide or just in the States?
Well, in the States first.
States, yes, 7 times platinum.
7 times platinum in the States. Worldwide, how much?
22 million.
22 million albums.
Yeah.
So,
sheesh, Fugees get a dope.
You guys grossed $300 million off that album.
That's the math, man.
$1/3 billion.
Math don't lie.
right? 22 million times $15 an album. That's about $1/3 of $1 million. $1/3 of $1 billion.
Yeah.
Double diamond. How did you guys feel to do that? You guys blew past everybody at that point.
You know, to be honest with you, when you're in that whirlwind, you don't really understand what's happening until you take a step back. And at that time, it was going so fast that we weren't even paying attention to it.
Okay, but the success is through the roof.
It is, but you don't understand it. Especially at that time. You gotta remember, we're in a different time now. In this era, everything is amplified. Everything's exaggerated. At that time, we didn't have any social media. We didn't have any of that. So it just felt regular. It was just like, oh, okay. We hot all around the planet, and we're going all around the planet. Japan, here, Germany, Europe, all over. You know, it's just felt like, oh, once you become successful, that is what's supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. You know?
Now, at this point, was the business 100% with the record label? Because, you know, with new artists, a lot of times the deals favor the label. How is it with you guys by the time the second album rolls around?
I gotta be honest with you, the deal was pretty fair, if not better than average. And I think that's because we had a couple things going for ourselves. One, at that time I was like the businessman in the group, so I was very into trying to make sure, you know, we don't get played at that time, you know, so I was always looking and seeing. But I think what the smartest thing first of all, we had a great manager, and then we had great lawyers. But the smartest thing we ever did was the advance we took was so minimal. I mean, on the second album, just to give you a perspective, out of the $135,000, the three of us only walked away with $1,200 each. It's nothing, right? So because the album only cost $135,000, you figure the first album, they probably spent maybe $300,000, including the videos. So now, by the time they go to release this album, maybe they up at $1 million, but then by the third month, we're already at like 2 million albums. And worldwide, we at like 6. So they made all their money because the upfront money was so low, you know, so the return was great. And I learned from that. Like, I don't even like taking advances from anything. My thing is, let me succeed because you make more money like that. But a lot of artists, you know, they want that upfront money because they figure like record companies fucking them over anyway, so I might just get everything I can up front, which is true to a certain extent. But now you got to say to yourself, are you betting on yourself? And if you bet on yourself, then, you know, you'll be like, I don't want that advance. Because you got to pay that advance back. Plus, their accounting is very trickery. They give you $1, it's like they gave you 5. Right? So, yeah. And who you gonna get to audit it? I mean, people don't even know, artists don't even know to go get someone to audit the label.
Yeah, it's deep. Yeah. It's definitely deep. You donated $1.2 million to Barack Obama's campaign?
Yo, where you getting these information from?
Is that not true?
I'm starting to think you CIA, man.
Hey man, this is what I do.
It's true. It's out there now. It's out in the universe. Yeah, I did. To a super PAC.
Through a super PAC. So your corporation donated $1.2 million to the Barack Obama super PAC.
No. To a super PAC that backs Obama. He didn't have a super PAC. The super PAC basically is in the presidential campaign, you could only donate but so much money to the candidate. A super PAC is a PAC that's not totally in alignment with the president or the candidate, but they support the candidate causes. So like, and you can donate unlimited money, right? And what I'll do is, like, if I feel like Obama, and this is why I donated to the super PAC, we wanted to bring out black men between the age of 18 and 35 to go out and vote in these swing states. And the swing states were Ohio, Virginia, and Florida. So we took ads, encouraged them when they spoke to them, which, by the way, he won those 3 states. Okay? And so now when you got people like the Koch brothers, your audience probably never even heard of them. These are billionaire guys. Their super PACs is like $300, $400, $500 million, right? So we, as black people, don't really do super PACs because we don't understand the game of politics. We don't understand how, obviously there's a generation who feel like, man, fuck voting. I don't like these people. They don't really listen to us. That's a whole different story. But anyway, so I got introduced to this super PAC called Black Men Vote. And it was, like I said, to go trying to register black men to go and vote. And so I donated the money to the super PAC.
I mean, you're someone who's made a lot of money and, has invested his money and so forth. But 1.2 million is still a very significant amount. Why did you decide to put so much of your own money into the Obama campaign?
Because I believed in the cause. And I also just... I had the money to do it, you know what I mean? But, I felt like instead of go buy another watch, let me do something that's gonna affect my life and my children's life and everyone else's life, right? The thing about us as black people, they like to put us like a monolithic group where all we do is one or two things. And we're so much bigger than that, so much more diverse than that, right? And so one of the things, though, there was a time in the turn of the last century, right after, even during slavery, after slavery, but right before slavery, we weren't allowed to read books. We weren't allowed to read anything, right? And so the minute we got the right to read, we stopped reading, right? The minute that we were allowed to vote, we stopped voting, right? And we as black people don't understand there are certain things that we have to take control of in order for us to take control of our destiny. Sitting here protesting with a picket sign, 2016, when that was effective in 1966, it's not as effective today. Because these corporations, these politicians have gotten more sophisticated. So I knew in order for me to help and believe in what at that time POTUS was doing. Sorry, POTUS means President of the United States, so we call him POTUS. Well, POTUS, his mandates and everything, I knew I had to go try to get him to win these states in order for him to get a second term. Now, I'm not saying I did it all by myself. There was a bunch of other people who's doing it, but there's very few black people doing it on that level. And so, we did it, and hopefully other black people will follow and understand what Super PAC means and the effect it can do to make changes for us. As the President of the United States, there's a lot of black people. I run into a lot of black folks. They feel like, well, we don't feel like he really did anything for us, whatever. But he is the President of the United States. Short of him wiring money in your account, what can he do? Because he got to govern the whole state, the whole 50 states, So we got to make our own change. We got to take our change. And local politics is how I felt like doing it.
Well, and also Obama definitely set a goal for a group of people that thought that they were going to be able to achieve a goal like that in their lifetime. Like, I personally didn't think there was going to be a black president in my lifetime.
I knew. I felt that. I knew that the first time I met him.
Okay. So you got a chance to meet him and actually spend time with him. Mm-hmm. So what was that like?
This is before he was a senator. I thought he was great. I thought he had it, and obviously I was more convinced in 2004 when he went to speak at the convention in Boston. He gave this great speech. That's kind of like when he started to rise in the political world. And then obviously 4 years later, he became the first black president.
Right, and then he got reelected.
Then he got reelected, right?
Yeah, I definitely, like, it's funny how so many people, especially Republicans, complain about the job that Obama did. But, I started my company in 2008, and I remember where the economy was at that point. I remember where the stock market was because I was investing in stocks also. And I look at where it is now, and it's a night and day difference. I mean, he really turned around the whole country.
I agree. But, look, I mean, listen, the reality is the reality, right? Him, what that stands for is that elephant in that room that a lot of people don't like to talk about. Being the first of anything in a world that's not accustomed to you being the first, there's gonna be some drawbacks. And even him, as the son of a slave, even him, he had a drawback. Being the first black man, president of the United States of America, which is a tremendous accomplishment. The most powerful man on land. And they still found ways to disrespect their commander-in-chief. But it goes to show you how deep embedded racism is in this great, the United States of America.
So you do Ghetto Superstar. What were you going through at the time in terms of putting out your own solo album?
I mean, just to create, just create, especially coming off of that, the roller coaster, the Fugees and the carnival. And it was just like, keep creating, do something that you love, which at that time was, still love music, obviously, but I'm saying, like, it was fresh off of the score in the carnival. So it just only, I guess it made natural sense.
Right. Now, Old Dirty Bastard shows up on the single. How did that come together?
It's one of them situations where he was at the wrong place at the wrong time, heard the beat, he fell in love with it. It's like, let me jump on it. Was like, what? But I let him do his thing, because he walked in my session by mistake.
Wait, I heard about this story. I heard about this. So I guess he was drunk and just walked into your studio on accident?
I don't know if he was drunk, but I know he didn't know the state he was in. So I don't, meaning like in the USA, he thought he was in a different state. I was in California, he thought he was in New York City. I don't know if he was drunk, I don't know what it was, I don't know if he was tired. I can't say it. God bless his soul, by the way. But he just didn't know where he was at. And so he thought my session was his session.
Let's go straight to the part where to go. Why they break up?
So the album comes out, is doing crazy numbers. You guys get sued for Ready or Not.
Right.
What was the lawsuit
Ready
about?
or not, here I come. You can hide.
Simple. We sampled Enya, and we didn't clear it. We lied about it, and she was like, "Okay, take the shit off the album." And we couldn't. Well, write me a big check, and we did. Simple as that.
Do you remember how big the check was?
About $3 million.
$3 million.
Yeah, because you taking someone's copyright and you not clearing it, and then you lie about it on top of it. We didn't know.
Whose idea was it to lie about the sample?
Mine. So I take responsibility for that.
Okay.
Cause she lived in Ireland. So I said, yo, where this album gonna blow up? But nobody in Ireland gonna hear this album. And she was #1 in Ireland. The irony, right? Yeah. In hindsight, that's $3 million. That's $1 million in my pocket, because we could have split that, we split it 3 ways. But shit happens, whatever.
Okay, so you guys settle with her, you pay off the money. Now, at what point does the group start having problems internally?
I mean, towards the middle, the peak.
Okay, and what happens?
Bunch of shit.
Okay. Wyclef and Lauryn Hill start to have a romantic relationship.
That's what they said.
Right, it's what Wyclef said in his book.
Oh, he wrote a book?
It was something like that. It was like a memoir or something like that. I saw an MTV
I didn't even know about
it.
When was this?
Okay, so there was a memoir called Purpose, an immigrant story.
Well, I guess that's what it is. If he wrote it, then that's what it is.
So he was talking about, I guess, was Wyclef married at the time?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, he's still married.
Yeah. Yeah, I just didn't know when he got married. So at the time that the score came out, he was married. So he talked about how him and Lauryn Hill kind of had there was like a love triangle. It was him, his wife, Lauryn Hill.
Lauryn Hill is an inspiration.
And he mentioned that Lauryn Hill got pregnant.
Okay.
Did you know about all this happening?
Man, I was counting my money, man, to be honest with you. I mean, I knew there was riff going around, but I was focused, man. I was focused on trying to get this money.
Okay, but did you feel like there were problems forming?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not a zombie. Obviously, it felt, but once again, man, I was focused. I mean, I know there was things happening, but there was so many things happening. If I had to stop and pay attention to everything, I wouldn't even be sitting here right now. Like, I'm a person, I'm very focused on whatever my goal is, I stay focused. And my goal at that time was, I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure from this point till I die, I never have a need or a worry financially. So all this other shit, that's for the birds.
Right. All the other shit is for the birds, but
right.
You're in a group with these two other people, and they're very key members of the group. Mm-hmm. So obviously, problems that's happening between Wyclef and Lauryn Hill is going to affect everyone's money long term.
To a certain extent, yeah. But at the same time, you gotta remember, Wyclef is my boy at that time, right? Like, we're like brothers. And Lauryn is my girl because I went and got her from her mom's house when she was only 12, 13 years old. And I told the mother, I will protect her daughter. So, this is my man. This is like my sister. They got whatever at that time, because they were denying it. You feel things. They're like, no, it's not happening. Then you hear things. And so, what side do you jump on? You tell a dude, yo, be careful. You know what I mean? You don't want to disrupt what's going on here. You may think you got it under control, but these things never end well. How do you know? There's about 1,000 groups that tried that before us, and it almost never worked well. I'm just saying. But then you go to my girl like, yo, you sure? Just be careful, So I gotta play neutral because I can't be the one that seems like I'm agitating anything. So my thing now at this point is, before this Titanic goes in sink, I gotta get my life vest. I can't be worrying about the chef, the dude down in the deck trying to figure out, is he going to plug the hole? Is the buoy ready? Where's my life vest? Because this shit is about to go down. And when it does, I want to be able to know I can swim ashore.
Like, at what point did you know that the group was going to break up?
some things are inevitable, man. I mean, I guess I knew at some point it was gonna happen. Maybe I knew it when I first started it. I don't know. You know, and to be honest with you, the group actually didn't break up when people thought it broke up. The group didn't really break up till like 2004, 2005, even though we weren't making records, but the group technically didn't, like, it wasn't on like, okay, no, we're not together. It was like, yo, we just gotta get a break.
Okay. At any point, was it like, look, we just made magic here. We're going double diamond. Yes, there are some personal issues, but we're talking about creating generational wealth here for where our families can live off this long after we're dead. Like we're creating a legacy here. You know, how can we get past these emotions right now?
Yeah, I mean, preach that all day, you know, but, you know, people, you know, ego, it's a motherfucker, you know, and not everyone can see the tree for the forest, you know? So you can preach that till you go blue, but until you realize that, doesn't matter, right? And so, unfortunately, by the time you realize it, it really doesn't matter, right? But yeah, I mean, all these, you're right, generational wealth. I mean, when you think about the whole purpose of having a gift and being able to do things that the average person can't do or don't have the means or the resources. Not that, just because you got these great artists doing these great things doesn't mean they're the best, right? It's just circumstances. Maybe they're more disciplined than the most talented person, right? Or maybe they had a better situation or whatever it is. So for us, we were blessed. We were gifted to be in that situation. And to me, I always look at it like, whenever you're able to do something on any level that is touching greatness, you have to nurture that and cherish that, because it doesn't happen all the time. And hindsight is a motherfucker, because that's how people get depressed, because then you start saying to yourself, damn, if only. And I never want to be that guy to be like, if only. That's why I knew I had to get my shit in order. Like, I was very conscientious about that.
So you now have millions of dollars coming in for the first time in your life. What are you doing with the money?
Invest.
How?
You know, I did the regular stuff in the beginning. You know,
Vlad, the reason why this thing in the feds.
Some stocks, some bonds.
Vlad, the reason why this thing in the feds. They took Vlad TV interview and put that nigga in the feds.
On some things here and there, just to protect my money. You know, I mean, obviously I did some stupid shit with my money too, but it wasn't that stupid enough to not make me be able to live the lifestyle that I'm still living, right? But yeah, I invested my money.
Okay. Outside of the stocks and bonds, like, what were you investing in? Can you talk about it?
Yeah, like certain, I don't want to get too deep into it, but like certain funds, for example. I can't say that I invested in Apple. I wish I did, but it wasn't one of those. Although a friend of mine that I lent some money to invested in Viagra, and this dude caked off, cut me off a little, so that was good. But, you know, things that seemed like were good, low risk investment, but high returns. You know, if that's even possible, but there are some things out there that are possible like that.
Okay. So you were smart about your money. You didn't go and just blow it all. You actually were creating a long-term plan for yourself.
Yeah, man.
Dope. So
isn't it what it's supposed to be?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do.
Okay, there you go.
So even though the group is not officially broken up, all three of you go your separate ways. Lauryn Hill drops her album, her solo album. Clef drops his solo album. You drop your solo album. What was the? Do you remember who dropped whose first?
Clef.
Clef dropped his album first. Great album, by the way. That was the Carnival?
Yes, sir.
Great album.
Right.
Great album. But Lauryn Hill drops Miseducation, and it's massive. Were you like at this point, like were you and Lauryn talking at all or not really?
Yeah, we Lauryn and I, we always been cool, right? So there's never, I mean, I'm not saying I talk to her every day, but we've always been cool. But obviously, look, her situation with Homeboy was a little bit strained on her. And I'm sure that there were times she probably felt like maybe abandoned from me, or a sense of abandonment. And I can understand why, you know? But other than that, we've always been cool. So just to let you know, I heard Miseducation before it even came out. Like, I was around during the process when she was making it, you know. I thought it was gonna be a huge album. I thought it was great, you know. I was really happy for her. First woman ever to debut #1 with the number she did. I think she did almost like 500,000 the first week. So it was a great album to me. Great.
I mean, most people consider it the greatest female hip hop album of all time.
Okay.
Yeah, I consider it that. I can't think of a female hip hop album that I like better than that. Great album. So, Lost Ones. Most people say most.
That's his version of it. Let's get Lauryn's version of it. Let's see what Lauryn thinks. Let's go.
Lauryn Hill is an inspiration.
Lauryn Hill is my hero.
She has a mind of like an 80-year-old woman.
Lauryn is one of the most unique artists in the history of hip-hop.
But life is continued work toward bettering ourselves and bettering the lives of others around us.
Not only to the world of hip-hop, but she's an inspiration to everybody.
First met Lauryn when we did Sister Act 2, and I thought she was quite an interesting young lady.
So whenever you stand for something and you stand for goodness and truth, you will always get resistance. That's period.
This is, of course, before I heard her sing, and she opened her mouth and all my hair fell out.
She's everything.
I want to let young people know it is not a burden to love him and to represent him and to be who you are.
And the best new artist is...
The best rap album is...
The album of the year goes to...
Ladies and gentlemen, Lauryn Hill.
August 25th, 1998.
This week, our next guest received the most Grammy nominations of any female recording artist ever. One of the biggest selling female artists of 1998. I couldn't be happier to have her here. This is her brilliant CD, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
A year after the Fugees' breakup and her first child's birth, Lauryn Noel Hill released her highly anticipated album, widely regarded as a seminal work, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. The album marked a revolutionary milestone in the history of music, reshaping the narrative of hip-hop with its groundbreaking fusion of soul, R&B, and reggae. The virtuistic blend of soul-stirring vocals transcended conventional genre boundaries, furthermore becoming a catalyst for empowering women, not only in the industry, but all over the world, challenging norms and asserting their undeniable influence.
I had a lot of things that I wanted to say, and at that period of time in like R&B music, there weren't really many people who were like saying anything, you know, saying certain things in their lyrics, and I wanted to, you know, I wanted to make sure that I had something to say, you know, and I wanted to make sure that it reached the people.
The album's lyrical depth explores the themes of love, heartbreak, and the struggles of balancing personal and professional life, while simultaneously confronting social issues such as racial inequality and the impact of systematic oppression.
You know, it was about a young woman you know, in the music industry, you know, and the pitfalls, the snares, the traps, and they don't stop. They keep coming. You know, they don't stop. I think that because I grew up in such a loving family structure, I thought that everybody did. And therefore, I thought that everybody reaped the benefit of that love. And pretty naive way to think. And so I learned very important lessons about people and their voids.
The miseducation of Lauryn Hill, since the day of its release, became a worldwide phenomenon, with many considering to be one of the best hip-hop albums of all time, and not just for being a musical masterpiece, but a powerful vessel for thought-provoking social discourse. While the album swiftly achieved worldwide success, solidifying its status as a landmark in hip-hop, the journey leading up to it, as well as the subsequent path, was...
Why Lauryn Hill look like Kendrick Lamar on this motherfucker, girl? I can see she got all the motherfucking awards look like Kendrick Lamar right there, cuz. I'm looking at Kendrick Lamar. God damn, Lauryn Hill looking like Kendrick.
Marked by undeniable bumps and challenges. After more than 25 years, The Miseducation remains the only solo studio album released by Lauryn Hill. Despite its accolades, the reasoning behind her early self-imposed exile from the music industry has always been in question, and before securing numerous awards and adopting the title Empress of Hip-Hop, the beginning for Ms. Hill wasn't easy. She was a superstar. 2 months before getting on stage, the Fugees released their soon-to-be infamous album, The Score. It quickly became one of the biggest hits of 1996, selling an unbelievable 11 million copies and securing a spot as one of the best-selling hip-hop albums of all time. Much of the album's success contributed to their cover versions of old favorites such as No Woman No Cry by Bob Marley and the Wailers and Killing Me Softly with His Song, originally recorded by Lori Lieberman. The lyrics, the music, everything was just perfect. While the trio were all seen as one unit, it's hard to understate the attention that Ms. Hill garnered, not only from the media, but also from the fans, and it doesn't take a genius to understand why. Young, smart, beautiful, talented, those are just a few of many accolades that we could use to describe Ms. Hill, but in my opinion, the most important factor to many was her pursuit of being independent.
You've been quoted frequently about your views on the lack of opportunities for women in the music industry. What do you think we can do to change that in the future?
I think it is changing. I hope that it's not a trend. You know what I mean? I hope it's not like disco music and then a couple years later it'll be out of style and no women will be able to do what they're doing. You know, it's a challenge just because for some reason people always think that behind some woman there's some male toy master or manipulator who's telling her what to say and what to think. And also women aren't supposed to know what's best for them, you know. But adversity doesn't scare me.
The Fugees won 2 Grammy Awards in 1997, one for the Best Rap Album, and second for the Best R&B Vocal Performance by a Duo or Group for their song, Killing Me Softly.
We'd like to thank God for teaching us how important it is to be humble, especially in this business. Thank you for everybody who supported us. The Refugees make music for all people.
By the beginning of 1997, the group was a household name, with many speculating about what would be their next move. With a lot of eyes being pointed toward the only female in the group, fans were starting to stir up a conversation about Lauryn Hill and the possibility of her releasing a solo album.
A team plays the game.
Baseball.
And when they play to win, but they play as a team. So when we did the album, we did it as a team.
Well, the wait for their next move didn't last long. While the trio at the beginning of the year appeared next to each other on a couple of songs, by the middle of it, they announced their breakup. These news shook the hip-hop fans to their core. How did a group, which only a little over a year ago managed to release an album that would stun everyone and become one of the biggest success stories in hip-hop history, put it all behind them and just simply leave, going their separate ways, with even the bigger question being, why? What happened?
If the group has broken up, I don't know about it yet, so maybe somebody should call me and let me know. But I would like to, want to think that, you know what I mean? Because I think that as a collective unit, you know, there was a lot of strength there. But we've always been a strong unit, and we've also been strong individual personalities.
At the time, one of the explanations was that the group members, and more specifically Lauryn Hill, wanted to be more independent and have full creative freedom, which in turn caused friction between the members.
If I'd had it my way, I would have been in the group forever. You know, I enjoyed the group atmosphere. I thought, you know, it's so good to have two guys on stage backing you up. But the interesting thing about entertainment is that when you're struggling, everybody goes in with the same goals. You know, but somewhere along the success area, you start to look at everyone around you and go, wait a minute, where are you going? Where are you headed? Because I'm going this way. What happened? I thought we were all on the, you know, and sometimes success can do that. Sometimes it really illuminates, you know, creative differences, spiritual differences, you know, emotional differences. It's really interesting because I didn't actually make a decision to be solo. It really just happened. I promise you that. It's hard to explain, but, you know, I'd intended to be in the group forever until I found myself in circumstances where I felt the inner desire to express myself freely and openly without any constraint, you know, without anybody saying, hey, you can't say that. That's not fly. You can't say that. People won't, you know what I mean? So, you know, the only way I could have done that was in doing a solo release.
But while it may have contributed to the split, the bigger reason why the group went their different ways was actually because of the relationships between members, more specifically, between Wyclef and Lauryn Hill. After spending a lot of time together, the duo started to develop feelings for each other, and not long after, they even got into a romantic relationship.
No, for real though, on the real, I seen a mermaid.
Oh, don't go into this story. We just told us this story the other day. See, our music touched everybody.
Listen,
mermaids,
right? Listen,
fish.
I'm gonna tell you this story. Cause I'm from Haiti.
Now, mind you,
you know what
you left Haiti when he was 7 years old, right?
No, I didn't leave when I was 7.
How old were you?
I was 8.
Okay, my bad. I'm sorry. 8. Okay, so when you're 8 years old, you know, like, you remember things. Like, I remember my grandmother's house being 20 times bigger than it was. But go ahead, Melissa.
We was in the backyard, you know, and then where we lived, they had the beach. You know what I'm saying, in the back. And then I was just sitting, because I was always a kid that was just weird, you know? So I was just to myself in the back, just kicking up. And then I seen this lady, you know, and then I just seen the face, so I thought it was somebody, like, in the water, like, you know, like swimming. Yeah. And she was like, hey, little boy.
No, hey, little fella. That's what she said.
No, but I'm saying boy, fella, it's the same thing. Don't play me out.
I'm just trying to get it
in Creole.
I'm just trying to get a word for word.
If I said in Creole, y'all ain't gonna understand.
Right,
so
man,
she didn't say hey, little fella.
She was a Haitian mermaid.
She was a Haitian mermaid. Yo, why you playing me out?
I'm saying.
I ain't telling my story.
No, I'm telling a story. Come on, man. I'm just playing.
Yo, I'm done, man.
Tell a story.
Nah, man. You just played me out. The Haitian mermaid.
No, I'm saying. It's important that we put that. That's a piece of information that needs to be in the story. Go ahead.
And you know what? If this mermaid is watching this, I want you to come get her, yo. Don't go to the sea, yo.
Pras, the other member of the Fugees, had no idea about the relationship at first, and before it even happened, he cautioned Wyclef, who is his cousin, to try and stay away from romantic relationships within the group, as it could get messy.
You know, and if you go back to the old articles one time, you know, where Pras was like, yo, man, Clef was the cancer of the Fugees. You know what I'm saying? Remember when he said that? Because at the time, you got to understand his frustration, though. You feel me? It was more like, yo, you know, like, you know, I really wanted this thing to work, and, you know, like, you shouldn't have messed with the girl. Matter of fact, didn't I warn you about messing with the girl?
But as fast as the feelings ignited, the same way problems arose. At the time, Wyclef was already in a relationship with another woman, whom he proceeded to marry shortly afterward. Despite his new marital life, Lauryn and Wyclef continued to be a unit, but they're enrolling themselves in a love triangle that sooner or later was bound to be doomed. Miss Hill felt like it was unfair that Wyclef had another woman, so she also started dating, and in the summer of 1996, Lauryn met Rohan Marley, a son of Bob Marley and a former University of Miami football player. They soon began dating and forming a relationship together, all while Hill was still romantically involved with Wyclef. To say that their relationship was messy would probably be an understatement. This crazy love train continued to become more complicated and in turn more toxic each day, all until one fateful day.
During Thursday's recording session, Fugees Lauryn Hill confirmed a rumor that had been running rampant through the Grammys on Wednesday.
Are you with child? Don't blush on me now.
Actually, yes, I am.
Congratulations. This is something that was planned, and are you excited about it? And
planned in the sense of, I'm 21 years old and going around the world, no, but planned in the sense that, I'm very much in love and very happy. I mean, I see birth as, motherhood as a benediction. So I'm just blessed with another responsibility.
The confusion about who was the father of Miss Hill's child was the final nail in the coffin. Wyclef believed that the kid was his, but in reality, the father of the child was Rohan Marley.
There was nothing in my mind to lead me to not believing
that child was yours.
That it was not mine. Right? Do a man show up in the hospital? Like, no matter what she is to say. Why was I the one in the hospital and not Ro? So,
While the pregnancy was the beginning of something new, it was also the end of something contemporary. The relationship between Wyclef and Lauryn Hill, to no surprise, became non-existent, and shortly afterward, they couldn't even stay in one room, let alone in the same group. During her pregnancy, Hill was working on her solo studio album since she felt more inspired than ever to write music. When some women are pregnant, their hair and their nails grow, but for me, it was my mind and ability to create. I had the desire to write in a capacity that I hadn't done in a while. Apart from working on her own album,
she had a desire to write and went crazy on that album. She went nuts on that goddamn album. Did her thing. Now the joy of my world.
Miss Hill worked with multiple artists, helping them to write songs.
To be honest with you, the Miseducation, the entire album started out as me, producing and writing music for other acts. I had all these songs that I had planned to give away, to other people, till I realized, wow, this is about me, and this is real personal, and it's about my life. Maybe I better not give this stuff away. It's a little too personal.
After many long studio sessions, in 1998, the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill hit the shelves all around the world. The album broke many records, from becoming one of the best-selling albums of all time, selling over 12 million copies, to holding the record for the longest-charting debut album by a female rapper for more than 21 years, and everything in between. If after the success of the score, Lauryn was everywhere in the media, this took her stardom to a whole different level. The album was praised by many of the critics, praising Hill's presentation of a female's view on life and love, with Eric Weisberg from Spin calling her a genre bender whose confident singing and rapping was balanced by vulnerable themes and sentiment. Many of the album's songs drew inspiration from the turbulence in the Fugees, as well as past love experiences.
It was a challenge, doing this solo joint, but it was something that I felt was necessary. I didn't wake up one morning and decide, yo, I'm about to do a solo album. It wasn't like that. It was more like, the music came. The music came first, and before I knew, I had all these songs and this direction and this sound that I really wanted to communicate to the world. And the best way for me to do it was to do it solo, because it was extremely personal. It was extremely personal and real special to me, and a lot of it I didn't think would really fit into a Fugees format, so at that point I knew it was time.
The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was nominated 10 times for the 1999 Grammy Awards, making her the first woman to ever be nominated that many times in one year. She won 5 Grammys and also won the Grammy Award for the Album of the Year.
And the album of the year is The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill.
To say that Lauryn Hill was at the top of the mountain would hardly do her justice. she not only delivered with her solo album, becoming one of the most recognizable people in the music industry, but also catapulted her career to legendary status, proving everyone who didn't support her from day one wrong. For the next couple of years, Lauryn Hill continued to collect her awards for the album, appeared on multiple TV shows, started writing a screenplay about the life of Bob Marley, and was enjoying being a mother.
First of all, I don't think that you could have a child and not have your entire world change completely. You know, my life is totally different from what it was when I was, 20, 21 years old, on the road by myself, without a family to think about. It humbles you, but at the same time, it gives you the greatest confidence in the world.
While the fans were already starting to question her future music career, it didn't seem to concern her at all. From a glance, it seemed like life was going more than great for Miss Hill, but unfortunately, where there is light, there's always darkness, and Lauryn was no exception. The beginning of the chain effect that would continue to ruffle Hill's life started in November 1998. The band by the name of New Ark filed a 50-page lawsuit against Lauryn Hill, her management, and record label, claiming that she used their songs and production skills but failed to properly credit them for the work on Miseducation. They claimed to be the primary songwriters on 2 tracks and major contributors on several others. At the same time, Gordon Williams, a prominent recorder, engineer, and mixer on Miseducation, described the album as a powerfully personal effort by Hill and said it was definitely her vision. Lauryn disagreed with the claims and responded that New Ark had been improperly credited and now were seeking to take advantage of her success. The label that she was signed at the time, Columbia, urged her to settle, but Miss Hill wanted to fight. Her friend later commented she felt like settling would have been an admission of guilt. She didn't want to be just a pretty face and a pretty voice. She wanted people to know she knows what she's doing. But the motion to fight meant that Miss Hill had to go into depositions and discuss making her art with lawyers. For the next 3 years, Lauryn continued to fight in court, which not only drained her mentally and emotionally, but on top of all of that, she had to settle the suit out of court. It was reported that the 4 producers were paid $5 million. The money wasn't the hardest part to give up. It was the defeat, knowing that she lost the case after getting drained mentally for the past 3 years. The only problem was she was one of the most public people at the time, and all eyes were pointed at her. If many of us could hit a reset button or just get our minds empty for a few days, this wasn't the case for Lauryn. She was a working mother of 2 who had to support not only her children, but all of her family who were working with or for her, be a role model to the youth, and answer all the questions to the media, which at that time were starting to be more and more the same. When is your next album?
It does exist. Everyone, I see people, hey, when's that record company coming? You can't leave us hanging like that. We need something else. Or the record company, or the window of opportunity is almost closed. But I just don't think that those rules apply to me. And not because of me, but I just think that it's something spiritual and something bigger. And I think that if you respond to the needs of the people, that's timeless. I never want to condescend. There are a lot of people who condescend to the audience. They just think, oh, they like anything. Just throw a beat on it and put your voice on it. But if it doesn't move me, then I don't think it's worthy enough to put out there and move someone else. You know what I mean? Like it has to be something that is personally, is something that I need personally. That's my barometer for whether or not it's good for the people, not just anything. Just just make a beat, it's hot, throw it out there. That I can't use that barometer. That doesn't work with me.
This kind of pressure, when your whole family depends on you for their well-being, and all the people outside of your home expect you to talk about your follow-up album, could be a lot to many. She felt betrayed by the musicians she thought of as family, and thus was increasingly mistrustful of people in general. Her friend later commented, it was tough for her to admit all that to someone, so I think she spoke to the God. And maybe it wasn't God, but somebody showed up. That somebody was a religious figure named Brother Anthony. During this point of time, Lauryn Hill was spiritually at the lowest point of her life, desperate to find somebody who could feel and understand her. Within 3 months of meeting Brother Anthony, the two became inseparable, with Hill going to Bible study with him 2 or 3 times a week, and even began starting many of her sentences with the words, "Brother Anthony says."
As long as I remember that the glory is his and not my own. When I confuse that, I get in trouble. But when I remember the proper hierarchy, because see, we have it all wrong. We think that we glorify ourselves and that we, the object is to glorify God first. And in doing that, you become glorified. You get glorified. There are certain times when, of late especially, that God has shown me, just be quiet.
It's hard to say whether it helped her in retrospect, but at the time, Miss Hill herself was praising Brother Anthony any chance she got. I met someone who has an understanding of the Bible like no one else I've ever met in my life. I just sat at his feet and ingested pure scripture for about a year.
Brother Anthony got her ass whelped up, got that Bible in her, bo bop, bo bo. Brother Anthony put that thing on her, brother. Oh my God, use God. See, that's the thing. People use God to get your ass. Use God to get you. The devil know the Bible better than anybody. The devil know the Bible better than anybody. You better watch out. Brother Anthony came through and now the joy.
Media, a lot of her close friends, and even Pras were more skeptical of this whole thing. In a 2003 interview with Rolling Stone, a friend of Miss Hill shared her views on Brother Anthony. His whole demeanor was real possessive, aggressive, and crooked to me. Pras also commented on that matter. Brother Anthony was definitely on some other I had a tip of his teachings that as well. Me up. I can't really explain it. It was some weird It was some real cult. He was saying, give up all your money. To only add to the mystery, nobody was certain what church was Brother Anthony from, and if even he belonged to any religion in the first place, with many speculating of him being a cult leader. It was like she was being brainwashed by this man, believing everything he was saying and telling her what to do. These speculations of him being a cult leader weren't created out of thin air, because not long after, Michel started to act real strange, to say the least. Throughout the next decade, fans all over the world were in hopes of one day hearing the new Lauryn Hill project, but unfortunately, as we all know, it never happened, and what seemed like a career that would continue to flourish as the years went by, suddenly started to take a different turn. At the beginning of the 2000s, Lauryn Hill started to drop every single one of her acting roles and screenplays that she was working. While she stopped working on Bob Marley's documentary, producing a romantic comedy Sauce, and a role in a film adaptation of Tommy Marsan's novel, Beloved, due to her pregnancy, it didn't stop there. After the birth of her second child, everyone expected Miss Hill to get back into the movie scene and continue working on many of her projects. Unfortunately, the opposite happened, as she not only forgot about her previous works, but started turning down every single one of her acting roles, which included many successful films like A Star is Born, Dreamgirls, Charlie's Angels, The Bourne Identity, The Mexican, The Matrix Reloaded, and The Matrix Revolutions. Furthermore, she fired her management team, began attending Bible study classes 5 times a week, stopped doing interviews, watching television, listening to music, and completely disappeared from the public eye. To see this kind of behavior was nothing short of unusual, and many believed that Brother Anthony had something to do with it. After all, he was one of the sketchiest guys around her for almost 24 hours a day, 7 times a week. Miss Hill's behavior didn't end there, as in July of 2001, while being pregnant with her 3rd child, she unveiled her new material performing live to a small crowd for a taping of an MTV Unplugged special. The day before her performance, Hill ripped up her throat and refused to reschedule. Therefore, her voice on the record was raspy and ragged. She accompanied herself on guitar, the lone instrument on the album, which was courageous, given that she hadn't been studying very long. In fact, after this performance was released as a live album, called MTV Unplugged 2.0, many of the critics did mention her lack of skill as one of the downsides of the album, by saying that anyone with ears can hear that there are only 3 chords being played on every song. The live album sold only 470,000 copies, which compared to her studio album were rookie numbers, marking the record as a failure. Despite low record sales, people still did enjoy the album. Critics, on the other hand, were a whole different story. A lot of them were saying the same thing. The album feels unfinished, and while many didn't shy away from calling it fascinating, more and more insiders were agreeing with the idea that if this was a lesser-known artist, it would have never been released. Enemy wrote, Unplugged 2.0 is a sparse and often grueling listen, but there is enough genius shading these rough sketches to suggest that all might not yet be lost. This wouldn't be the last time we would hear criticism towards Lauryn Hill for being unprofessional, and was slowly but surely becoming one of the main ones. In 2002, Lauryn announced that she was closing her non-profit organization called the Refugee Project, which was designed to help the underprivileged. Her mother Valerie was president, and the charity ran a summer camp for impoverished kids and donated money all around the world. When asked about the reasoning, she told MTV, "I had a non-profit organization and I had to shut all that down. You know, smiling with big checks, obligatory things, not having things come from a place of passion, that's slavery. Everything we do should be a result of our gratitude for what God has done for us. It should be passionate." A year later, she also divorced her husband, Rohan, whom she was never married to, and moved out to live separately, with Hill getting her own place in Miami. In her new apartment, she decided to install a recording studio, and what wouldn't seem strange, as a lot of musicians have their own studio in their houses, Lauryn was doing all of this at the expense of the label. After the live album release, which made Columbia Records lose a lot of money due to low record sales and high funding, Hill promised them that she was working on her second studio album, which they thought was going to be another huge success. By 2003, it was reported that Columbia Records had spent more than $2.5 million funding her much-anticipated album by not only installing a recording studio, but also by flying different musicians around the country. Still, there was no sign of a new album. In December of 2003, Hill made her first performance in years, appearing in Vatican City, where she once again became a huge talking point. During her
That's a dog for Lauryn Hill. Let's see what that nigga what's called guys do say about this, man. Wyclef John. See what Wyclef had to say.
Big Boy's Neighborhood, Wyclef.
During her
Big Boy's Neighborhood, Wyclef is in the neighborhood, man.
Sir.
Now, Wyclef, you're in a group, tight quarters. You're always kind of working. You say you spending 20 hours a day with Lauryn Hill. At some point, you step the boundary. You know what I'm saying? Now, what did that do for that core of the group? Does Pras, does he blame you sometimes like, man, like, why you
I'm
just
sure he
couldn't-"
definitely blamed me, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? You know, and if you go back to the old articles one time, you know, where Pras was like, yo, man, Clef was the cancer of the Fugees. You know what I'm saying? Remember when he said that? Because at the time, you got to understand his frustration, though. You feel me? It was more like, yo, you know, like, you know, I really wanted this thing to work, and, you know, like, you shouldn't have messed with the girl. Matter of fact, didn't I warn you about messing with the girl?
Right.
You know, and fully looking back then, you know, like now as a man and looking back, definitely, you know, take blame in the sense of having fell for Lauryn at the time. But you know, in my form of artistry, and a lot of times, like, we read these stories and we go read whether if it's like Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, or even go back to the days of Rome or mythology with Zeus and whoever he fell for. We always think like, nah, this ain't gonna never happen to us. But what happens is, until you actually sitting in the seat, like you've seen it with the preacher and somebody in the congregation, you've seen it with the businessman and the secretary,
right?
Like, so
Arnold Schwarzenegger and the nanny.
Yeah. So,
oh
so,
my gosh.
so, but it was important that I explained it in the sense of vulnerability, meaning like not as feel sorry for me type of dude, but as human beings, you know, like at times, you know, we lust. And for me, it was not even lust at that time, because it was spending too much time anyway, you know. So you know, in the book I describe, at that time it was more of a muse type of relationship. Because, and what I mean by that, it's sort of like, you know, what are you listening to? Oh, I'm listening to Bob Marley, you know what I'm saying? And this is, hey, you know, this is the vibe. And what are you listening? Oh, that's Donny Hathaway. Well, who's that? What was he, you know? And this is how he riffing. Man, that's some dope R&B stuff. Show me how to riff like that, you know? Go into that. So
teaching each other.
Yeah, but it even got, because we really was.
It was like a real bond, though.
Yeah,
it wasn't like I'm going to hit this and bounce. Or
it wasn't just like a hookup.
No,
like
it was.
You guys
it was
cared for each other.
It was beyond. It was really, at one time, it was like, you know, brother, sister in one sense, not in the incest sense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then, you know, the if I was to put it like in a metaphor, it's almost like I was in heaven and I was an angel. You feel me? And then God was like, yo, man, go to earth. And you see this woman here. Do not fall in love with her. You are supposed to help her through life with whatever she wants to accomplish, you know? And he beams you to earth, you know what I'm saying? And man, a year later, man, you're like, God, man, I heard what you said, man, but this human being looked too beautiful to let that happen.
Hey, man, and it had to be even a little more difficult, because at that time, you were in a serious relationship, right? And still are.
Yeah, but definitely. So I got married very young, you know? And one of the things for me was, who are you going to marry? So you have to make that decision. You feel me? So,
would you say you loved them both?
Yes. In the song at the time, in the song "The Carnival," now everyone could go back and do their homework and pay close attention.
Oh, listen again.
Because once the book come out, you know, now people is like, but I've told y'all this. The album that y'all love so much, "The Carnival," you big boy.
Yes, sir. You see, I'm over here.
You
tried to tell me.
Yeah, the song which refers to your chapter is a song called "To All the Girls I Loved Before." Now, if you was to play that song right now, what you would do is, it would clearly, you'd be like, oh, okay, I understood that chapter at that time. To be bold enough, though, at the time on the Carnival, to say, you know, I'm in love with two women, who is it going to be now? Clearly, this is what I say in the lyric. At that time, you know, that's sort of like how I felt.
Did anyone pick up on that?
I think y'all was too busy listening to Gone to November.
We got Wyclef in the neighborhood, big boy neighborhood.
I'll be gone to November. The rest of the girl fucked it up.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain what's going on right now. We got Wyclef Jean in the building with us. This is not no regular interview, because this man got a book coming out.
First out of 7.
Out of 7?
7?
Fucked up the food.
What is this, Trapped in the Closet, the book version?
No, I just knew that my books would start after 40, and there's 7
We
books
gonna
I
have
want to
another,
write, starting
40
with the
minutes, y'all.
autobiography. So I
Oh,
have
they
to
not
get-
all autobiographical.
Oh no, not at all. The
All right.
second one is a political spoof.
Well, let's get into this first one before we talk about the others, because apparently there's some crazy talk in these books. Fox, set it off.
Well, you set it off with a bang. Let's just get right into this. What you wrote from your autobiography, Purpose and an Immigrant Story. This is in his own words.
Say it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Clef. It says, I was married and Lauryn and I were having an affair, but she led me to believe that the baby was mine, and I couldn't forgive that. Wow.
Taking my glasses off for this one.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, about the book, the important thing that I want you to understand is the Fugees got together sort of like my last year in high school. So in writing the book and what you reading is exactly 20 years of, so every year that it went down, I made sure. So the hardest thing that was in the book was to go back.
All right, we out of here, man. I see. Are we gonna diss everybody? Discord? Holla at your boy. You know what I'm saying? Salute to everybody in the building.